We have finally made it. We're at Module 8. We're near the end. Our project is nearly complete. I'm going to spend the next module talking about ways that we can explore academic conferences. I talked previously in Module 7 that there are a couple of ways that we can disseminate our scholarly research. One of the ways we can do that is through conferences. Another way we could do that is through journals. Obviously, in Module 7, we spent a bit of time talking about how we could get our manuscript for journal ready. This module will be talking about conferences. I also want you to note that in some ways, and from an academic setting, academic conferences and academic journals really kind of do turn hand in hand. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. But ultimately, we need to know that it is a place for both practitioners and academics to be able to explore their research, generate questions about their research, get feedback about their research, as well as to disseminate it to the public. For the sake and purpose of our module as well as our assignment for week 8, we are going to consider the following 3 academic conferences. I also want you to know, though, that Table 6.1 in your text offers an extensive list, and some of those conferences on that list may be in your backyard or maybe at convenient locations. Our first conference we're going to consider is NASH. It's the North American Society for Sport History. We'll also talk about NASM, or that North American Society for Sport Management, as well as NASS, that North American Society for Sociology of Sport. It should be noted that each of these 3 listed are reputable organizations within the field. They offer an annual academic conference, and as you'll see in just a bit, each of them also offer an academic journal. Nonetheless, the list is not comprehensive, but I want us to recognize that these members or group associations are a great way to get connected with people in the field, as well as ways to talk about and share research. Okay, let's start off with NASH, or that North American Society for Sport History. This is for the sport historians of the group. The purpose of this organization is, as I'll quote, promote, stimulate, encourage the study of the history of sport, to support, stimulate, encourage scholarly writing and research related to the history of sport, and to cooperate with local national and international organizations having the same purpose. If your topic surrounded any type of historical perspective regarding sport, this would be a great avenue for you to disseminate your research. In addition, NASH has a journal, the Journal of Sport History. Their convention, as they call it, is annual. It meets in various locations throughout North America. According to their calendar and schedule, it typically convenes in the month of May. Like other organizations, NASH will have a convention every year, and that convention will have a different theme throughout the years. And in those themes, they will have different presentations or breakout sessions. Your research may specifically cater to a specific topic or section. Our next organization and conference for consideration is NASM, or that North American Society for Sport Management. As you can read, the purpose of this organization is to promote, stimulate, encourage study, research, scholarly writing, and professional development in the area of sport management, both theoretical and applied aspects. Under this organization, they have 2 specific journals. 1, the Journal of Sport Management, and 2, the Journal of Sport Management Education. It should be noted that in the discipline, the Journal of Sport Management is highly reputable and very competitive. Like NASH, their annual conference meets in various locations throughout North America, and it typically convenes in the month of June. Also, like NASH, the format of their conference surrounds these kind of various topics, breakout sessions. We've arrived at our last organization, or NASS, North American Society for Sociology of Sport. The purpose of this organization, and it exists to promote, stimulate, and encourage the sociological study of play, games, sport, and contemporary physical culture. The journal associated with NASS is the Sociology of Sport Journal. This also is a highly reputable journal with a competitive acceptance rate. Their annual conference, again, is held in North America at various locations, and it typically convenes at the end of October or in the beginning of November. For those individuals that have done research that focuses more on sociological or cultural principles, can find a good place to present their research at NASS. In order to be able to present at scholarly conferences or at these conferences, individuals must be members of the organization. I would argue that membership to these organizations is highly beneficial, and I've given 4 reasons why. First of all, it allows you to get feedback from your peers, specifically when you have the opportunity to present at a conference or just in dialogue. Memberships and these organizations allow you to get relevant information in a timely fashion. Oftentimes there's listservs or information is delved out to the members, and it keeps you up to date on topics. And finally, maybe most importantly, organization memberships allow students, academics, and practitioners the opportunity to network with people like-minded, people in the field, maybe people practicing, and maybe even academics. It's a great way to interact with people within the profession. I want to sum up by talking briefly about what it takes in order to have a conference presentation accepted. And I've obviously listed those NASM, NASS, and NASH. Each of the organizations have a little bit different way in which they do their conferences, but for the most part, this will give us an idea. When the conference has been determined, there will be what's called a call for papers. This is where individuals who want to present their research at a conference need to consider. Under that call for papers, there's typically a submission procedure. And within that submission procedure, the presenter will want to think about what category they believe their research falls under. And when they submit their research for that conference, they'll want to make sure that they submit it in an appropriate category. In that conference submission, there will typically be a format. That is, which way you'll be presenting your research. For some research conferences, there are poster presentations. Some of them are oral presentations. Some conferences have roundtable discussions. And again, when submitting your abstract, you'll want to determine that which best meets your research. Finally, what do you actually submit? For the most part, you're submitting a brief abstract, and that abstract, again, should be the bare bones of what your research does and includes and why it appropriately fits within the given research conference. I do want to note, though, that even at individual conferences, there can typically be an area specifically for students, that some students may be able to present their research in a more collective student area. Please check that. Other conferences will talk directly to practitioners, and some will also talk directly to scholars. But nonetheless, I want you to know that student research falls into the grander scheme of research done in sport management discipline. Student research is highly important. It contributes to the body of knowledge. It's essential for scholars in general, as well as practitioners. So use this opportunity to present your research. Good research should be disseminated. Cheers.